Our continuation of our study today is by our beloved Portia, Goddess of Justice, Volume 10, Number 8, February 19th, 1967. In its title, I Deem Cosmic Justice to be a Rock. And our beloved Jesus gave us a great teaching on being that rock. Although he was accused of everything that was under the sun, and he still stood and was blessed accordingly. So he was building on the rock of God. As we build on that rock today of cosmic justice, and ask for cosmic justice to be our rock. And our pearl starts off today with the reading of Love Promote Wisdom. For wisdom teaches man to love. And if we follow accordingly, we will find out the truth behind that saying. That love promote wisdom. Because God had given us all of this love that's pent up within our heart. And we are being asked to call it forth when we need it. To be able to send forth that light out into the universe for of eternal love to each and every heart flame that needs it. Because there's so many souls out in the world today that is not receiving that love or that light. We see so many standing by the wayside and going in opposite direction when they should be heading in a general direction to God. Being able to raise their consciousness, we ask for that light. We ask for the Almighty to give us that light so that we are able to reach out to those souls that need us in this hour. As we share forth in our wisdom, we read in John chapter 15. As Jesus shared, he says, as the Father loved me, I also have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. Just as I have kept my Father's commandment and abided in his love. Jesus is asking us to keep his commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you that my joy may remain in you and that your joy may be filled. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, than to lay down one life for his friend. You are my friends, and if you do whatever I command you, no longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I call you friend. For all things that I've heard from my Father, I have made known to you. You did not choose me. I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. These things I command you, that you love one another. So this is one of the key things that the Father, our beloved Jesus, is asking us and teaching us. We were given these layers for our mortal creation, for us to have something to build on, He had given us this wisdom and foresight that as we look back and dig into the Bible, we find that he has already prepared a path for us. As we get on over into our teaching today, we'll find out that our beloved Portia asked us, was speaking about that guidance. Do man need that guidance? And I would think that we do. Because not only did they ask us, she shared with us that teaching, that we are able to have that guidance written out. There's not too many things that are written out as a path for us to follow, but that light is put within our hearts for us to be able to follow that guidance. And our beloved Portia goes on and say the layer of mortal creation build ignorantly in each life stream. By building ignorantly, it darkens man's concept of the justice of universal love. Out of the depth of the mortal ignorance, men cry, there is no God. And echo back into their ears is the piping fertility of their own cry, their own useless cry. The universal consciousness that we enjoy with the Father starts to slip away as we get out and start losing our consciousness. The consciousness that the Almighty has given us to start building on, as we start building, we start slipping away and walk in a different direction. So those layers that we've built up start to dwindle down. And we find ourselves grasping and asking and saying, there's no God, because of the concept that we've built within our frame of mind or our reference. God has given us this opportunity to be one in that light, that as we walk and talk, we're supposed to be able to share and speak with him, as the presence of the Almighty shows us and anoints us each and every day. Although he raises us up in the morning, he touches you with that finger of love and says, okay, it's time to get up and start doing what I've given you to do. But if we don't follow through on that path, those layers start to build over, and we don't understand why we're not hearing what we need. In Proverbs chapter 4, it says, hear my children, the instruction of the Father, and give attention to known understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Do not forsake the laws. Proverbs 7 tells us that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys a heck of a lot. One person that is following the cosmic law can change everything in your life. And one person that's not following the cosmic law can change everything. So the layers of mortal creation is built ignorantly on each life stream. By building ignorantly, it darkens man's concept of the justice of universal love. We think of how we have built ignorantly on each life stream. We think in terms of a time-ordered system of documents that function as a diary of your electronic life. Every document you create and every document other people send you is stored in your life stream. So we have to be careful what we accept from other people, from other bodies, because whatever we accept, it does damage to our consciousness. Portia asks us to be confident in the knowledge that God love has produced God justice, even as God love has produced God wisdom and his power. How beautiful is the concept of faith in the law of love. How great the law of justice, When justice is seen as an immutable hand of God, weaving pattern of such intricacy as to be seldom perceived by man in his limited sphere. God has given us this law of love that it asks us to love thy neighbor as thyself. Because if you look back at it and you read and study in your Bible, it says that, we are one. God created us as one. So your neighbor as yourself, because it is yourself. It's just another part of your consciousness. So where does your consciousness lead you? How do you treat your neighbor? You have to treat your neighbor as you treat yourself. If you offer in love and wisdom, offer that love and wisdom to your fellow man. As you walk by and talk with them, carry them on, raise them up in your consciousness. Don't tear them down. Build on those layers that the beloved had given us to do. Portia explained to us that our self-limiting concept has encased us in a mold of silt, while the fragile beauty of reality, riding the crest of identity within the very being of man, seek to surge forth and wash away in a torrent of light energy all the darkness, appalling sense of ignorance concerning the justice of Almighty. So you can be bathed and cleared of that, but you have to be the one ready to accept and do that. Justice is considered as a just behavior or treatment. Portia shares with us that how beautiful is the concept of faith. We have to have faith that the Father is going to keep weaving his hedge of protection around us. We have to see the Father's immutable hand weaving and healing and protecting and guiding us each and every day as we continue on this walk and on this path. Portia shared with us that she has long been considering how it would be possible that she might relieve some of the awful tension which is so prevalent upon earth. Take life. Take a look, if you will, at the anger and the hostility that is out in the world. Do you think God would want that hostility to continue? Heavens forbid. I think he would want love and light to move forward in our presence and to be one with us. The world, even little children, agonize in the outreach of their understanding. As they seek to know where is justice, they ask themselves not, is God dead? But is justice dead? And where is reality, purity, and the fixed, immovable quality of law that can be depended upon? Is it not right that not only the children, but also all men should have dependence upon the rock of ages? And that rock is the Almighty. The rock of ages is the Almighty we can have to change our consciousness and grow in his light and wisdom. That as this consciousness of God raises us to our cosmic height. Let me tell you, beloved one, says Portia, that I deem cosmic justice to be a rock. And it is a rock of great dependability when it is recognized as an existing behind the facet of man's strange thought and peculiar sense of aborted justice. Let me say to all men everywhere and women everywhere, there is never any need, regardless of outer appearance, even to contemplate the idea that there exists injustice anywhere in the universe. This is the facade that man sees and speaks of. When we think of cosmic justice, we think in terms of relief of all misfortune. It is the broad concept of justice going. Justice defined according to the fairness of process. Portia tells us that regardless of our appearance, even to contemplate the idea that there exists injustice anywhere in the universe. There's no aborted justice. Portia shares with us that it is great to have cosmic justice as a rock of dependability to depend upon. Granted that mankind does perpetrate upon one another, which seems to be acts of injustice. How do men know that the same injustice which today are practiced against them by their fellow man were not practiced by themselves against other at past time? Let's think about that for a moment. That is a question that we need to ask ourselves. Of the injustice, do we not know or think that the same injustice which today are practiced against our fellow man would not practice against someone else? I had one of my workers that was with me, and he says to me as we was standing talking, he says, he says, Frank, in my next lifetime, he says, I've seen a lot of injustice in the Black population, it done by the Caucasian. He says, I want to come back as a Black because of the injustice that I've seen. And we talked and went on, and it was some things that we was able to raise each other's consciousness on. But talking on the level, you have to be able to understand and see where someone's concept is along those lines, and understand that. Because even as our beloved Portia continues to share with us, the injustice that we see is not as it seems. And even if the individual were found to be free from the expression of this quality of injustice in the past, is it not possible that the mettle of man should be tried by the ignorance of others as a measure of strength to himself, and as a means of testing his qualification for higher gifts and graces? Is that unjust? The same injustice that we are looking at and talking about that has been perpetrated upon one of our fellow mans in this time gone by could have been perpetrated by us at some point in the past. Think about that, beloved. Think about that as we meditate in our hearts and call for it to be revealed to us, that light of the Almighty might raise us up and give us that consciousness. Portia goes on and say it is unjust. Is it unjust to provide avenues of progress for man? The master, she goes on to say that it gives this reason, that as we read on, we'll find out that the master Portia is sharing with us that it is good to give avenues for progress, because at that point, you're able to rise up and see. Because if you don't have guidance, how are you going to know when you're going in the wrong direction? How shall the very excellent qualities of divine grace be tried, except in the world of outer action, where the ignorance of men causes them to react to the virtue and justice of others, thus building strength in the elect who should rightly consider the whole matter. Those who desire to escape from the barbs of frustration accompanying the concept of world injustice will do well to heed my word. A lifetime of freedom from the wrong sense of divine justice can be yours if you will only momentarily dwell upon the words that I speak. Put your attention upon me and call unto me as the love of God is surging from my heart, in order that you may be stripped of your fear concerning divine justice. The scriptures informs us that God is supremely good and merciful, just, and the divine is the highest law there is. The action of the divine in human consciousness and experience destroys sin and frees the individual to express his or her true nature as God's spiritual likeness. Portia goes on to say there is never any injustice anywhere in the universe. For the moment error or discord is introduced into the stratas of mankind's thought and feeling, the jagged line of forces which these produce are retarded in their penetration of his or her world. For upon contact with the light of God that is within the atom of being, this vibration that is out of harmony with the universal atom is thrust away from the white fire core being by the natural seismic activity that returns to the fault wave of man disobedience to the law back to the surface of his world. There once again the tremors introduced by mankind himself cut loose to vibrate the atmosphere until it has spent its discordant energies and has no longer any power over the form and substance. While I've used an analogy and a hyperbole, let me hasten to assure all of you that faith must be generated in yourselves about cosmic justice and maintained at all cost. The moment you begin to waver in your feeling world and to suppose that there is an injustice in the universe, you open the door to a dense negative substance, which comes in the fracture of the calm of your being, producing all of the terror and destruction which have seen as a fissure in cosmic substance. Portia assures us that there are no fractures of Fisher's concept or ideas in the mind of God that are unjust. The beloved Father wishes for the Son the highest good, and each son of God should wish for all upon earth throughout the abundant universe that good which God is. While we are on this subject, blessed one, let me assure every life stream who reads these words, and call upon that the moment you make an appeal to the comic board to take command of any given situation which may be troubling you, that appeal is always answered. We understand and have adopted the practice and the concept of our beloved comic board. Just recently, we have written our letters to the comic board to take command of the troubling situation that might be affecting us in our lives. And it is our belief and our appeal as always answered. Our beloved Portia have answered those questions. And our beloved Portia goes on to say, in the name of heaven, blessed one, how would anyone among our beloved Chilas conceive for a moment that an appeal would not be recognized? We do not say that the answer will always come in the exact manner you might prescribe, for God often disposes of what man proposes in a more virtuous way than men might have the capacity to recognize at first, because God brings things into our lives that are real. But men, we make our consideration as we proposes things to God. Behind the scenes of what may seem to be very unfortunate happening, individuals often find in the end that there is a manifestation of improvement. In any case, God's divine justice is always accurate. This is the reason why no son of God or any individual upon the planet should ever foolishly seek to retaliate upon another for either real or fancied wrong. From time to time, individuals become imbued with the idea that this or that person is persecuting them or in some way doing spite to their personal selves. Many times, these are only projection of negative energy directed into the excuse me, into the force field of the God seeker in order to obscure the Christ image before him and to distract his attention from the law of his being. In other cases where there is no projection involvement, but rather the direct malice of another, always remember the Master's way. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They are ignorant what they do to what they do. Be confident then in the knowledge that God love has produced. God justice, even God love has produced. God wisdom and God's power. As we look at our beloved Jesus, how he had to be taken in to all the things that was going on in his lifetime, how he had to be transported to Pilate, of being accused of all the things that he was accused. But each one said that they found no fault in him. But yet and still, everyone did not want to accept that knowledge. All they wanted was for things to go according to their plan. So we are told that in that particular happening, they gave in to the people's will. So the Father is letting us know that through the consciousness, we have to be able to understand that it's not that we have to be able to say, as Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because their consciousness is not raised. We are given the opportunity each and every day, each and every time that we put forth a service, each and every time that we put forth a prayer vigil, each and every time that we reach out, we need to be reaching out with the truth. We need to be sharing wisdom and knowledge that each and every person that receive that light or the message of God understand that it is directly being spoken from God. It's not something that we are projecting ourselves upon any and everyone, as was being projected upon our beloved Master, our beloved Jesus the Christ, as he was accused of all the negative things that did not resonate in his world. But yet and still he was able to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All the attributes of the deities are always perfectly and harmoniously balanced. Therefore, when you think on these things, it assists your own force field and consciousness to let go of the frustrated sense of mortal justice and to replace it by the abundant sense of universal justice, everywhere present, while the mills of the God may seem to grind slowly. As has been said, they grind exceedingly small. So our beloved Father keeps us in line with and to his path, that there's no detail to which your presence will not attend. For the whole is made up of a multitude of components, and the sum of that total component of those, the sum of the total of those components produce that divine wholeness, which is your spiritual identity. Therefore, God is concerned with each jot and tittle of the law, that it might be fulfilled in the light of his beautiful sense of reality and justice. Know then that I am your sister, the exponent was Saint Germain of freedom, from fear through the law of love. Through the law of our divine Father, we let that light, as our beloved Jesus shared with us at the beginning, as he commanded us to love one another as he loved us, to love thy brother as thyself, to walk accordingly in the light, walk in the presence and the continuous guidings of the Almighty. It makes no difference what people put out about you. It's about the light that the Father has given you to shed forth into the world. Be that light, be that pillar, be that beacon that shines upon a hill. As the Father called us, we understand now from the understanding of the reading why our beloved Portia says that she deemed cosmic justice to be the rock. It is the rock that we need to build all of our promotion of light upon, all of our guidance and all of our wisdom. In the name of Almighty God, as we give thanks to our beloved Portia for thy presence and thy guidance and thy wisdom, that you were able to share with us and enlighten us as we walk and talk with thee in this hour. Protect us. Beloved Jesus, give us thy understanding. Give us thy wisdom. Give us thy guidance. Father, as we continue to move forward in thy presence, bless each and every one that receive thy word this day. Raise them up and clothe them in the I am name with thy wisdom that you was able to share and guide.